As we pull to the end of this mini series on breaking up with insanity, I want to leave you here in this last session talking about 3 ways to start strong, whether it's in the new year or if it is back to school. I want to leave you with 3 ways to start strong. First, narrow your focus. Narrow your focus. You say, oh, I've got all kinds of, we need to change the whole deal. Well, let me just tell you, narrow the focus. So I enjoy playing golf, but I'm not good at all. I'm really not. And so when I go to take my tee shot, when I'm looking down the fairway, I'm just trying to hit anywhere between 100 yard wide, maybe 75 yards, just somewhere down there. Like if I can find it, it's a great shot. But good golfers, when they stand up to that tee box and they get ready to take that tee shot, they're looking for a specific spot, a specific area that they're trying to strategically put the ball. They're narrowing the focus of where they want to hit that tee shot. And our leadership can be much of the same way. So if you want to start fast, if you want to start strong, narrow your focus. When you reach for too much, like if you're trying to grab too much, a lot of times you take away less than you would. Same way when it comes to our hours. Working longer is way different than doing the right things. You see, you can work 60, 70, 80 hours, but I want to say in front of you, that is not the solution. Backing up and identifying the right things to do with your time and your energy and your influence is much more important. So if you want to start strong, I want to challenge you to narrow the focus. In your church, narrow the focus. This is going to be hard. Like I'm about to say something that like you may go, oh yeah, I've been thinking that for years. But to execute, it's hard. If everything is important in your church, then nothing is important. There are some things that raise value over other things. For me, I will tell you, our groups raise the value over just about everything we do. Why? Because our groups are our backbone for discipleship, for care, for reaching people, for connecting people, for engaging people. And so if we play everything out and say, oh, well, our groups are just as important as our pickleball nights. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up with a lot of things that are just okay. It's okay to raise the value of certain things. You have to narrow the focus. If everything's important, then nothing is important. Some things have to be raised over other things. As a leader within the life of our church, we have to lead our people to live what's important. And as pastors, we get great opportunities in the middle of our sermons. We can begin communicating things where it fits in the life of our sermons to be able to narrow the focus to the things that are most important. So narrow your focus. Set a clear target. And this changed my life. I read this in a book a few years ago. We need to think lead activities and not just lag measurements. So when like I told you, I measure everything. So when I measure our group attendance, and I'm measuring preschoolers, I'm measuring kids, I'm measuring students, I'm measuring adults, I'm measuring the overall, I'm watching all of those things. All that does though is it tells me what happened. Measuring those things will point me in the right direction if I see something spike positive or something dip negative, or if I see something plateaued. But we've got to think, as we identify those metrics, we've got to think more on the lead activities. So if you're experiencing plateau and decline, if you're not reaching new people, what's the solution? Well, one solution might be we need to think about how can we invite more people, or can we create an event that people can invite their friends to? We've got to think the lead. What are the activities that are going to lead to the things that we're trying to measure, or the things that we say are important, the things that we're going to see change? We need to be intentional with our lead activities and not just simply look at the lag, the things that have already happened. Craig Groeschel said in a leadership video a few years ago, he said, we have to lead our people to things. He said, a lot of times people will say, well, our people won't do this and our people won't do that. And he said we need to change our thinking and we need to change our vocabulary. We need to say we haven't led them to. And so we need to set clear targets. You need to understand that there is a whirlwind of life and ministry that is constantly swirling around you. And it is pulling you into that busyness. And in that whirlwind, it's wanting to pull you into that busyness. And so you need to understand that there is a whirlwind that is wanting to pull you. And so we've got to set aside. Sometimes it's just an hour a week to think beyond the whirlwind. Maybe it's batching a block of activities in time where maybe you can take 2 to 4 hours and you can block off where you can begin working on these things we're talking about, shifting and changing outside of that whirlwind of life and ministry. And I really like it when it comes to setting goals. You set a clear target. The way Michael Hyatt teaches this in the SMARTER goals, his system is this: we need to set specific goals. We need to set goals that you can clearly say, yes, we did this, or no, we didn't. Too many times in churches, what we do is we say, oh, well, we worked hard at something. Yeah, we did that. But we didn't actually accomplish the things that we were setting out to do. Again, our identity is not matched in that yes or in that no. It's just helping us know what to do. So specific and measurable. Did we accomplish it? Is it clear? Is it actionable? Is there something to do here? There needs to be an action word that goes with this so it sets it as an action. It needs to be risky. We don't need to set goals that we're going to accomplish on cruise control. It needs to push us a little bit. Now, don't throw it way far out there, but set it ahead that you've got to be strategic. You've got to be intentional, and you're going to have to step out in faith to lead your congregation towards. Is it time bound? There's a specific time, like in 2024, we are going to accomplish this, or in the first quarter, we're going to do this. Is it exciting? Like, do you get excited about it? I think sometimes we begin pursuing things that nobody in the room is excited about. We're having to manufacture our energy. Like, I'm the pastor and I don't even want to go to it. Is it exciting? And is it relevant? Does it make sense? Does it make sense for what God is doing around us right now? So we need to set these smarter goals and then know how you're wired. As you begin to set a clear target, know how you're wired. I just really believe as a leader, the more you are self-aware about your strengths and the weaknesses, the better equipped you are to lead your church forward. There's not one of us that is a Superman. Not one of us that's a superwoman. And so we have to recognize how we're wired. So narrow the focus, set a clear target, and then third, in order to start fast and start strong in 2024 or in this back to school season, the last thing is to win the first quarter, or to win the first quarter of the school year. To think in the 4 quarters: January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Think in quarters. Break it down. Win the next quarter. Think in smaller margins of time. This allows us to begin creating action steps. Like, what can I do this quarter that can help us take new ground in this area? How can we make progress? And then I want to encourage you to find some prayer partners and say, hey, this quarter we're working towards, we're pursuing this. Allow people to begin praying. Dream out loud. And then a practice I would encourage each of you to do as pastors and church leaders is to review every Sunday night. At the end of the day, you get home, review every Sunday night. As you begin to step into another week, that whirlwind is circling. Take just a few minutes and review. What are the things we made progress on? What should we have done that we didn't do? What did we do that we need to not do anymore or do less of? But review. I know I've given you a lot of information, but remember, in order to break up with insanity, you have to start doing things differently. You have to think differently. So I want to encourage you. Narrow down your focus. Change your thinking. Set clear targets around the right activities. And then get started fast on new habits and behaviors. If you're going to break up with insanity, if you're going to lead change in your church, if this year is going to be different than the years past, these 3 things will help you to get started fast as you prepare to lead your church where God is taking you, what God is doing in your life. Remember, it's not up to you. God has called you to steward your leadership, to steward the gift inside of you of your preaching, your shepherding, and your leadership to make a difference in your church family, impacting your community for the gospel. So I want to encourage you, break up with insanity. Let this new year be different than the previous years.